You're listening to the Today in Manufacturing podcast.
Hi, I'm David Manti, and welcome to a new episode of the Today in Manufacturing podcast. With me this week are Jeff Ranke and Anna Wells. We each have more than 15 years of experience covering the manufacturing industry. Every week, we take the 5 most popular stories on our websites and discuss the implications they have on the manufacturing industry going forward. Before we get started, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can also help us out a lot by leaving the podcast a positive review on whatever platform you use. If you want to email the podcast, you can reach any of us at Jeff, David, or Anna at IEN.com with email the podcast in the subject line. Also, we're live every Friday, so be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube at IEN Magazine, and you'll get a notification, and you can join us for the live discussion. Anna, how you doing this week?
I like how you didn't say we're live on Fridays at a particular time, because it's never the same time.
I've stopped mentioning the time. We're like Friday or Friday adjacent.
We'll let you know. Yeah.
We'll be live sometime towards the end of the week, depending on our schedules. Yeah, no, it's a moving target.
It's
a moving target, but we put out the effort to try and spread it across our vast social media network to pull more people into it.
It's vast, yeah.
Jeff, how you doing this week?
Good. I think I finally got all of the drywall particles and dust cleared out of my ears and eyes and nose from demolishing our kitchen, so I think I'm ready to go.
That's good. Did you wear a mask, or you have that drywall cough?
It wasn't too bad. I was definitely glad for the safety glasses, though. Those definitely came in handy more than once.
It's whenever we're doing demo and I take a shot to the glasses, I'm like, oh, that's blindness if I'm not wearing these. That's good. That's good. All right. Well, before we get started, we have a word from our sponsor, Red Zone.
Manufacturers are facing extraordinary challenges today. With labor shortages, supply chain disruptions, and a changing workforce, complex industrial technology doesn't cut it on the front line. What's needed is a new way of working that will not only meet throughput goals, but change the shop floor culture to one of winning, where every worker feels they play a part in achieving the company's goals for success. What's needed is Red Zone, the connected workforce solution.
And we're back. But before we get started with our first story, just a reminder that Red Zone's connected workforce solution enables manufacturers to empower frontline teams in production, maintenance, and quality to contribute their full potential and achieve company goals around productivity and throughput. Red Zone software enables manufacturers, big and small, to boost their plant's productivity, increase employee engagement, and lower turnover. Jeff, how soon after we finish this podcast does this office clear out?
I don't know. We got a couple hours. I mean, I got some stuff I need to wrap up.
Nerd.
So Jeff's going to be
It's
here.
a holiday weekend.
Yeah. My car's already started. No. I mean, it's a hybrid. It just turns off if it's on. All right. It's a problem, actually. Our first story this week. First Solar announces $1 billion panel factory in the United States. First Solar is the largest U.S. developer of solar panels. Now the company will spend $1 billion to build a panel manufacturing facility in the American Southeast. The company will also drop $185 million to upgrade and expand its facilities in Ohio. First Solar has an incredible backlog. The company is sold out through 2025. After the Inflation Reduction Act passed, the company decided to build another factory. And CEO Mark Widmar says the industry is now, quote, in the best position it ever has been. New tax incentives benefit manufacturers as well as consumers. The company will now look for a location, stressing the importance of an available workforce and how shovel-ready the site is. Jeff, any guesses in the American Southeast as to where this is going?
I mean, you're probably looking at Arizona, New Mexico, right? Maybe
Southeast.
even Southern Nevada.
Southeast.
I'm sorry, where are they?
The other side.
The Southeast. Okay, I was surprised. I actually thought it would be closer to California because of being the biggest purchasing area for solar panels in the U.S. But
Everything's going to Kentucky right now. I feel like that's a safe bet.
yeah, that whole area is hot right now. It really, there's a lot of good stuff coming out of this story. And I'm going to talk about all the good things before I bring it crashing down with some negative comments as well.
As we expect.
Exactly. So first of all, I mean, I think one of the things we can take away is with First Solar and a lot of the biggest companies within this sector, within the solar panel sector, is specialization seems to be helping them a lot. This is what they're focused on. Unlike, say, Solar City, Tesla's big venture there, not performing as well as when you look at the top 5 in this category because they aren't as specialized, I feel. So I think that's definitely helping them. We do see growth in solar. And when you look at that 30% tax rebate that comes from the Infrastructure Reduction Act, that's huge. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I think that will skew a lot of people who may have been on the fence about purchasing these panels to dive in and go for it.
So it is 30%?
It's a 30% rebate on the total. Yeah.
Anna, what'd you get?
20, I think.
I mean, that's still fair.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of money still. So.
I know that you were working on this story. What were your thoughts on First Solar's big investment?
Well, I thought it was pretty exciting because people were kind of getting down on solar prior to this. People had a lot of concerns about how we were going to make that work and the investments that needed to take place. So I think it's pretty exciting to see that the IRA, which I don't like that acronym because it's being used other places, but the Inflation Reduction Act is what I mean in this case, that it's having a positive impact on this industry and on the economy. And we talk about supply chain so often, and for this to help facilitate shortening that is a big deal, especially considering that China to this point has captured about 80% market share on solar panel production. And the IEA, which is the International Energy Agency, they're this international agency that sort of advises on policy, does analysis on the energy industry globally. They released some new data in July that stressed the need for a more diverse global supply of solar infrastructure, pointing out that the 80% market share that China captures now will likely balloon up to 95% just within a couple years if nothing were to change. But then obviously this recent legislation, I think, has the potential to really kind of turn that around a little bit for the U.S. I think they really needed a boost here because if you look at what China's been doing, they've been developing this stuff for so long, taken such a pioneering position in it that they've been able to scale it, putting the rest of the world behind in terms of what they can do at that same cost. We've seen that happen in so many different industries, right?
Right.
In this case, I think incentivizing both the producers and the buyers is going to allow companies like First Solar to produce here with lower costs, ensure high demand, take some of the risk out for them. And I think it's just exciting and it speaks to the impact of that legislation.
And I mean, we've had some pretty recent examples as to when the entire supply chain is in China, how that could have some negative implications in the event that there was any sort of market disruption.
Right.
Speaking of which, you didn't let me bring it all crashing down. You cut me off.
Yeah, you did cut Jeff off before he crashed it.
Way to go.
Do you want to just move on to the next story?
I wanted to segue away from the crash. I was just like, it looks like a good time to move to Anna.
All right, Jeff, bring it down.
No, I just wanted Anna to make the house of cards a little taller before you kick that one off the bottom.
Just kick it.
Well, here's the one thing that could bring it all down.
All right.
Is one of the things they're looking at is disruptions in supply chain from glass. So obviously that's a huge portion of building these solar panels. And right now you've got manufacturers in Europe primarily because of everything that's going on with the energy crisis, with everything going on in Ukraine and Russia. Everything from windshields to wine bottles basically is sort of being very closely kept in inventory, very closely scrutinized. They're trying to stockpile this stuff because they are worried about the production of glass coming into play. Now, that hasn't affected North American markets at this point because we still got everything we need. The raw materials aren't the problem. It's just the actual production. So if there's a shutdown in Europe and they still need all of these products that demand glass, again, it's in everything. You'd have to think there could be a potential impact if the solar panel industry is already having some not supply chain, but shortages, just in terms of not being able to keep up with demand. If they don't have glass, that could make it that much tougher to meet a lot of the demand that could even be growing further because of the stuff coming from the Reduction Act.
That's not a crash.
You don't think a good old fashioned glass drive would take care of it? I mean, if there's one thing about Americans, it's that they know how to really unite around a cause.
Yeah, I think,
and they're so good at recycling.
Right,
well,
exactly. All those things.
California just came out and they're going to incentivize glass recycling a little bit more, so that should do it.
Yeah, they're great. They're so good at everything.
I like when we have the recycling bin and the garbage bin, and they both pretty much go at the same time. The garbage trucks are pretty much behind each other, and you hear the garbage go, or you hear the recycling go first and you hear all the glass and cans go into it. And then you hear them grab the trash can and you hear all the glass and cans go in that one too, because no one's doing a really good job of actually separating those. I was really interested when they were talking about the backlog, because I understand if they have orders through like 2025, but they said the backlog was of 44 gigawatts. Or gigawatts, and no, that's not right. I just thought that was an interesting way to kind of equate that.
Gigawatts.
Gigawatts in the actual wattage. One of the commenters on our site, and we had a few people that were using in the same vein. KJ wondered if this deal was the next Cylindra, which still has kind of a bad taste in everybody's mouth. And to that, I would just say no, because the current administration is betting on the entire industry, whereas kind of the Obama administration greenlit $535 million in Cylindra loans, even though the company wasn't competitive with Chinese solar panel manufacturers. So big difference, but I understand how, people can get short-sighted, or they see solar and they see U.S. and they think Cylindra. And I think that's why there's that negative connotation sometimes. All right. Gigawatts. Our next most popular story. Labor Board rules Tesla can't require black shirts. Tesla recently received bad news from the National Labor Relations Board. In a case over the carmaker's dress code, Tesla's policy has been deemed unlawful. The company required workers to wear a plain black t-shirt and one bearing a Tesla logo. According to the NLRB, the policy is an effort to prohibit employees from wearing pro-union clothing. The NLRB says Tesla failed to provide or prove, quote, special circumstances that make the rule necessary to maintain production or discipline. Tesla workers can now wear union t-shirts or buttons while on the job because it is, quote, protected communication. Jeff, your thoughts on mandated black shirts?
Here's the thing. If you look at, if Tesla gave every single one of their employees 5 black t-shirts the day they were hired when they came into the facility and said, hey, we'd like you to wear this as part of a uniform, a team building thing, whatever, what percentage of people do you think would probably wear those? Seeing as how it didn't cost them anything, it's a black t-shirt, whatever.
I would say high.
Very high, right?
Also it's just, if that happens, it's assumed you're going to wear that.
Kind of, right? So this would probably, if you look at, if they gave every one of their employees 5 t-shirts, and each one of these t-shirts cost maybe $10, we're looking at a total expenditure of maybe $5 million.
Yeah.
Okay. I think they could swing that.
Yeah.
And I think they get the same overall result, as opposed to saying, hey, David, you have to wear a black t-shirt when you come to work. Because what's the first thing that's going to happen? You can't tell me what to do.
You can't tell me what to do, yeah.
I'm going to wear a white one just because I want to.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to spawn this type of behavior. And why make it necessarily combative, or just go out of your way to make it this way? Now, companies can mandate that people wear uniforms. And I think where the NLRB here was coming was it has to be some sort of benefit to it. But I think where this goes really beyond this, and this whole union conversation is, again, this is just Musk and Tesla sort of poking the bear again here.
Yeah.
They've got some serious things they need to work out here. This was just March when he went on Twitter and basically welcomed the UAW to come in and hold a vote. Well, if that's how you really feel, because you feel your wages are competitive, your benefits are competitive, it's a great place to work, awesome team, all this good stuff, why are you doing this type of thing? It sends such a subversive message, and you're just asking for people to be combative about it. It doesn't make sense.
I think that's the biggest issue here, is that, if the black shirt policy had been in place since the beginning of Tesla, but all of a sudden some pro-union buttons start showing up and they're like, we'd like you to wear a black shirt instead.
Well, and that's part of it. One of the things I don't get when these union conversations come up is most people are going to go with the flow. Okay. And the more attention you bring to this type of thing, the more questions they're going to ask and the more deeply they're going to dive into this. Yeah. It just feels like the less attention you give it, the more opportunity there is for it to either resolve itself, go away, whatever the case may be, especially if you feel like you've got the type of corporate infrastructure where a union isn't needed at this point in time. I'm not going to get into that debate. The other thing I think that's going to be really interesting is they've got that huge gigafactory opening over in Germany at the end of the year. Germany's labor force is much different than here in the US. It is highly unionized to the point where most manufacturing facilities, most decisions that are made, you've got half of that board being plant workers, the other half being the company, management, basically making those decisions jointly. So how is that going to work? I think they're really opening some doors that they didn't have to, that you can resolve these things as they come up in a much more, easier way, I guess. They just seem to make these things really hard, and all it would take is just a little bit of just listening to people and not pushing so hard sometimes.
I think you're right about the issue about drawing more attention to it, because when you do have people that, when I've been in a factory setting, you have the people that are pro-union, right, Anna? And they're wearing T-shirts, and there are people that just, like you said, Jeff, want to go with the flow. But when you kind of put it under a spotlight like this, that's when you're actually giving them more power and attention. And the other thing that I thought about was how the emphasis on how they can wear buttons. And I'm like, I'm down with the T-shirt, like wear whatever you want, but like a button seems like by nature to be a safety and production hazard, like on the floor.
That's a good point.
I don't know. That just seemed like a weird thing where it's like, yeah, wear whatever shirt you want, but can we at least say no to the buttons?
I mean, you can follow up on that and just see, like, are there any requirements on where those buttons are located,
or a limited?
Can they be patches? Do they have to be? Are they pins?
Are we limited on pieces of flair?
For David to say this, I mean, we all know what a proponent of buttons he is.
I love a custom button.
So
that's true. That's true. What if somebody told you couldn't wear a button to work?
I mean,
how flustered would you be?
The workplace is no place to wear a button. It is a place to design a button and have it manufactured, but I would never wear it.
Never don that on a piece of clothing.
No.
One of the things I knew we made the right hire when David came on board is he made us all buttons of buttons. It was a button of a picture of a button.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic.
I did and I also had the button where it was a button that just said button. Man, I enjoy those. Also, we had back when, we used to get a lot of headshots.
Yeah.
And I would take random headshots from people and turn those into buttons.
I'm going to file a complaint with the National Labor Relations Board and see if I can get buttons banned in this office.
Oh, no. I mean,
based on this discussion.
That Jim Houston button was a classic. Before we get way too off the path here, Anna, back to Tesla. And Musk, firing shirts out of a T-shirt cannon at all his employees.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think that Tesla is doing things the hard way by Elon Musk not keeping his mouth shut. Like, he's done such a great job of raising the suspicion of the NLRB with his very vocal criticism of unions, his threats to employees about organizing. So when this arises, I think we're in agreement. It becomes like pretty transparent what these uniforms are for and why they're so insistent about them being worn. So you'd think that Tesla would have tried harder to prove why they were necessary. Though my suspicion is that there was not a great defense as it relates to safety or production goals, which is what the board had asked for. I mean, I've been in a lot of factories throughout my career. You guys have too. I could probably count on one hand the number of those where factory floor employees wore matching uniforms.
Yeah.
It's just not standard practice. It's very uncommon. So trying to prove otherwise, I think that it's somehow relevant to your operations is going to be pretty tough, and it's certainly not established precedent. So, I mean, you see uniform requirements that, with PPE, eye, ear protection, steel-toed boots, those you can understand. I think a black T-shirt is aesthetics, and maybe in this case, union quashing.
Seth chimes in, perhaps there's a compromise to be made here, and they can only wear black buttons.
Yeah, or like a Tesla-only button.
Oh, Tesla button. I think we solved it here. I wanted to just stress that a company does have a right to require a uniform, but also how is that going to play with today's evolving labor situation?
Well, I think it's a little gray. I couldn't exactly drill down on it, but they also can't make you pay for it.
Yeah,
like
right.
They can say we want you to wear a uniform, but to Anna's point too, and what this is all about is there has to be a safety element to it, because you see a lot of maintenance workers wear like the overalls and stuff, and that's more for their benefit.
Yeah, so there's no loose clothing.
Well, that and just the fact that all the stuff that they're going to get on it, why ruin your own stuff as opposed to have this? But again, making them pay for it, and it's a little unclear here whether Tesla was saying, "Hey, David, Anna, bring in your own black T-shirts." They were giving them to them, whatever the case is, but.
No, that was one of the factories that I worked in was a clean room situation, right? So it was actually great because you could wear whatever you wanted, and you just threw the coat on and the hairnet, and it was just. I mean, if anything, after a while, I was embarrassed. Like, I would wait for everyone to clear out of the locker room and then take my coat off just because I was in my pajamas.
Oh, because they would be like, you like Candlebox?
Oh, it
or
was
something like you. What were you wearing?
No, I was actually, back then, I was typically wearing like nurse scrub pants and probably like a ratty t-shirt that said something like The Rock Says. Or like Troop DX. Or, just a simple Nike shirt. But yeah, it was embarrassing, and they were in tatters because, I had to work at like 5 a.m. So the fact that I rolled out of wherever I was sleeping and made it there by 5 was a win. I wanted to look at some of the other major automakers real quick, and I know we're running long, but Ford recently adopted a dress down policy for all employees from the floor to the front office, just making things a little more casual. When General Motors CEO Mary Barra was an HR executive at the automaker, she actually cut the dress code from 10 pages down to 2 words. She just made it dress appropriately. And it was interesting because she at first received a lot of managers who pushed back on it. But her thought was, if the managers can't handle dress appropriately, what other judgment decisions are they not making? Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really interesting. Yeah. And I mean, it seems really too common sense for an HR executive to me. Like, I would hear HR executive and dress code and think it went from 10 to 20 pages.
Yeah.
So Stellantis, their dress code is casual, and on the line you can wear shorts. However, if you're in the machine shop department, you have to wear pants, and that's according to Indeed. And a lot of that is stuff that we've seen before.
Yeah.
But there has been some confusion now as people have headed back, particularly into office settings, and people kind of grew accustomed to more relaxed fit clothing.
Has there been confusion for you?
There's been no confusion for me because when I came back to the office, I'm like, oh no. Put pants on.
Oh, yeah, pants.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we're not in Zoom right now where I had my one Zoom shirt and the one Zoom hat. And everyone knew that if they were on their Zoom with me and the hat was on, I hadn't showered. But at least I had the shirt.
You know that now.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't hard to pull apart, that one. It was no great mystery. But that was another thing to me is like how people are struggling to come back to work without sweatpants on. That's just, I struggle with that one. Just like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it.
I have to admit, I did need to buy a bunch of new clothes just because.
I mean, that's fair. Like, I used the pandemic as an opportunity to kind of like do a lot of spring cleaning and getting a lot of that business casual out of there. But yeah, I wasn't like, I'm not coming back to the office unless I can wear my gray sweatpants with holes in them. Anyway, our next most popular story. Electric boat shatters speed record. Last weekend, Vision Marine brought the V32 to an event at the Lake of the Ozarks. At the event, the 32-foot catamaran shattered the speed record for an electric boat. Powered by a pair of Vision Marine's E-Motion electric outboards, the boat reached a top speed of 109 miles per hour. The previous electric boat speed record of 88.6 miles per hour was set in 2018 by Jaguar's Vector V20E. Vision and its partners spent several months optimizing the electric motors, the 700-volt batteries, and the cooling circuitry, along with the hardware and software. Vision Marine CEO and co-founder Alex Mungeon said the demonstration was about proving that a transition to electric power in the marine industry is achievable. Anna, the record for fastest boat on the water is still, they were far short of it. The record is 317 miles per hour, and that was set in 1978 by the Spirit of Australia. That is moving.
What for? Is my question in response to that. I just
go fast.
Like I'm always pleased to see developments in electric power. This is a racing boat, right, that they demoed. But the company CEO said that they are looking at the commercial market, and he cites, quote, a dire need of a performance electric outboard. I guess I just am not sure a recreational boat needs to go so fast. I mean, if you think you hate jet ski wake, like wait till a couple of these show up on your favorite, like leisure lake. I don't know. Like, so if you look at, so I know we saw a lot of increase in auto crashes, like post pandemic and like 2020 and on, as people became crazy and lost their minds and don't care to live or die, I guess. I don't know. That's also happened with boats. Accidents on the water are on the rise. The number of reported boat accidents rose 26% between 2019 and 2020. That's massive, right?
Yeah. But that's probably more people just on the water because they had nowhere else to go.
Okay, but deaths from boating accidents increased 25% over the previous year.
That's still bad.
Do we need to add? It's bad.
Yeah, that's still bad.
Yeah.
David is taking a very controversial stance here.
Right. I agree that it is bad. I just, like, I know that like the massive rise in traffic deaths has done little to slow development in performance cars. I mean, everyone just really wants to make stuff go really, really fast. Racers gonna race, says Seth. And I know they are, Seth. You're right. Just be careful on the water, I guess. I don't know. It's like cool until there's a collision, and then the impact of it is catastrophic. Instead of like people being able to survive the stuff, they just like shatters a speed record, shatters a person. I mean, it's not like it just seems like excessive to me that this is something that we're pursuing. But
true. But I think if this was a race car, it's not something that we would think, you know, as Jeff would say, it's the thing that leads to the thing. You know, like because
which is a commercial boat that they want to make that is a high performance electric outboard.
Yeah, but I think what they do with this boat is show like, hey, it's capable of doing this because, you know, people want to have fun on the water. They don't want to be dangerous. I don't think people see 109 miles per hour, Jeff, and want to go that fast on the lake. I mean, not everybody, but some people when they're buying a boat might not think about an electric motor because, you know, they want to ski.
And they think there's not enough power.
Yeah, there's just not enough juice in it. I don't know.
But like we talk about every week how people can't handle like partially automated driving. They can't like regulate their speeds. They're on their phones. They don't know how to use all the functions in their vehicles. Like I just don't care about this. Like I would rather this not be there, but it's not up to me. So
well, I mean, we can't stop innovation as a result of human stupidity.
I will not stop it. No.
Jeff.
Well, let me answer your question why. Okay,
Yeah.
because that's what you asked. And first of all, 100 miles per hour in the water is insane.
Yeah.
Right.
Going 50 to 60 miles per hour in the water is insane. So I can't even imagine what 300
I know.
miles per hour is.
Puke.
That's ridiculous. And David, I think you're absolutely right. This is one of those things that leads to the thing, which by the way, we did have a couple requests for a t-shirt. That says this.
The thing that leads to the thing?
The thing that leads to the thing.
Catchphrase? Oh my
So
goodness.
we'll see where we go with that. But
Print them. And I'll get a button.
black buttons.
Yeah.
Again, with this, one of the things that I like about this is a company they weren't doing this just to develop a prototype. They sell electric outboards. Okay. They sell electric boats, which is a positive thing. And the electric outboards that they have right now, nowhere near this power.
Yeah.
Okay. They can't do this, but they are a real company and they're doing better things. One of the things I thought was interesting too here that could lead to electric batteries, regardless of the application, was the cooling circuitry. We talk about EV fires being a huge concern right now on the vehicle front, on the automotive front. So if they're developing technology to help keep these batteries cool, that's going to work across the board in a lot of different areas. The other thing that I started thinking about when you think about being on the water, marine power, all that type of stuff, you start thinking about these container ships. Okay. So, I mean, when you look at some stats from the International Maritime Organization, they say these container ships are putting about a billion metric tons of carbon dioxide every year. That's about 3% of the total carbon emissions on the planet. So if we can take some of this technology, and granted, this is not the greatest application for it in terms of running around and going these incredible speeds, but if we can start translating this power to bigger applications like these cargo ships, that's where we can go with this.
I'm all for it.
So
You're all for the cargo ship blasting down at 317.
But it's not going like on. I mean, like he's talking about making a recreational boat that is a performance outboard using this EV. That's where I have my concerns. I don't care about development. I mean, cargo ships, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's
again,
great.
I think this is the thing that leads to the thing. Again, and again, I like the fact that this is a company that does real stuff.
Yeah.
This is to get more attention to their company, to the fact that, hey, there is another option. You don't need to get 180 horsepower gasoline outboard for your for your boat or your pontoon or whatever, there is another option out there. And these are viable options. I mean, you can go for about 3 hours on these motors with the full charge. So I like the fact that it's drawing attention to that type of work as well.
I mean, you're right on that point, Jeff, is that this company has probably never seen press like this before. Yeah. I watched the video. It was quite impressive and actually didn't seem as dangerous as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, it didn't?
David was not scared watching a boat go 100 miles
No,
an hour.
the boat was going, and I'm just like, it doesn't look that bad. Like,
I don't even feel the wind. It's crazy.
What is the fastest you've ever gone on a boat or a jet ski or a snowmobile, anything like that? What's the fastest you've gone?
I've gone 90 on an ATV without a helmet on.
Oh.
That's a poor choice. That was a poor choice.
Yeah, because I was going to say the fastest, I've gone like 85 on a snowmobile with a helmet on a trail and stuff. But that's with nothing around me, just on the trail by myself. And that felt uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And this is even like not now when I'm an old man. Like this was when I was younger and stupider.
Yeah. No, it was speed. It's even on an ATV, like speed on a boat is just different. Like you're going like 50, 60 on a boat and it feels like you couldn't physically go any faster.
Jet skis are awesome. I love jet skis. I love being on them. But yeah, you go 50 on a jet ski. Yeah,
man, you feel very vulnerable. Well, actually, Anna kind of mentioned it, like the wakes of these, and that's why I like kind of like whispered inside. I'm like, oh my goodness, jumping over that wake with a jet ski would be amazing.
It would. I agree.
Austin, who's watching us live again, thanks for joining us again. Austin says, yes, you can't design around stupidity. Attrition does that automatically.
Fair.
Thanks, Austin. I do recommend people check out the video. There was also a little discrepancy as to whether or not it hit the record with 104 miles per hour or 109. Talking about the global electric boat market, though, it was valued at only $5 billion in 2021, and it's going to more than triple to $16.6 billion in 2031.
Nice.
As a result of Allied Market Research. Probably more than that now that this one has done so much press. One thing that kind of bothered me a little bit was that the CEO had this quote, and it was this cool story about all these great things that they're doing. And the CEO said, "We are much closer to eliminating the colossal carbon footprint our planet is experiencing due to continued usage of internal combustion engines." And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But a lot of people online got upset about that being woke virtue signaling. It's just like, man, people can just say why they're doing something in a positive way without it having some sort of like negative ulterior motive. And also, man, don't take the time out of your day to just go all crazy like that online. Sorry, that was just one thing that bothered me. And it was irrelevant. I didn't need to share that. Sorry, guys.
Thanks for sharing, David.
No problem. I'll run my notes by you guys before I share them.
We would appreciate that.
It's never going to happen.
Our next, it's already a tight window when we get in here. Our next most popular story this week: Ford's battery costs prompt $8,000 price hike of popular EV. Demand for Ford's Mustang Mach-E surprised a lot of people. The industry, the company, this panel, but now Ford has pulled a surprise of its own. Ford announced a new markup on some trims. The company is hiking the price on crossovers from $3,000 increases up to $8,500. The final price tag all depends on the battery and the options. Ford blames, quote, significant material cost increases, continued strain on key supply chains, and rapidly evolving market conditions. The F-150 Lightning pickup has also had similar issues. According to a CNBC report, raw material prices for batteries have doubled since the start of the pandemic. Jeff, is it raw materials or are federal EV tax credits to blame?
Yes.
Yeah.
It just feels like this is a convergence of so many different factors with this story. First of all, the $5,000, $5,500 increase on the batteries, I kind of feel like Ford is taking advantage of the fact that Mustang buyers are going to buy this vehicle regardless of the cost. They're not going to be as sensitive to that. So they may be subsidizing some of the other EV battery costs here.
Yeah.
and you could understand that happening. But all this other stuff is real. Inflation's real. We've talked about the EV supply chain here in North America struggling right now. So where do you go with this? We go back to the Inflation Reduction Act. Okay, and what it's trying to do for EV purchases there. But that puts a lot of the onus on the buyer to figure out what they're buying before they do it and figure out what kind of tax incentive or tax credit they're actually going to see. Mm-hmm. We've also talked about where it really starts with this supply chain and trying to get some of these costs down is in the mines. We talked about that before. We're talking about trying to get, lithium mines going. We talked about a copper and nickel mine up in Minnesota last week. So there's just a lot of those different things, and we're careful because we don't want to get in bed with mining because of the environmental impacts and the safety issues and everything else. There's a lot of issues there, but that's where it starts. Mm-hmm. Okay, if we don't want to see these $5,000 increases on these vehicles, and we don't want to see it getting into vehicles that are more, I guess what I would refer to as your everyday driver. I think this is kind of a unique vehicle, unique application. But if we don't want to see this across the board, we need to figure out a way to help build this infrastructure so that the manufacturers aren't absorbing all of this cost and then passing it along to consumers. And then depending on these credits for the consumer to understand where the battery's coming from, what's the percentage, how much do I actually qualify for, how is that different for all these models? Because I don't think that's going to help the inflationary elements either. So you have to be sensitive to all these different moving parts. And I think a lot of it comes back to easing some of the strain that we place on the manufacturers and suppliers that we want to create this new industry around these EVs and the batteries that they use. The struggle there is, then we look at Panasonic down in Kansas, right? Mm-hmm. And what do we worry about there first? All of the tax subsidies that government gave to that manufacturer when they haven't laid a single block yet for that factory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's just all of these different things that then become embedded within the same situation.
Right.
And this is the end result.
Yeah.
The end result is this huge increase in this potentially cost prohibitive element on something that we want everybody to get.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of information, not a lot of solutions, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to advocate one thing, it's we need to help those who are involved in the early portion of this supply chain as much as we can as soon as possible.
I think it's not that we don't want to get involved with mining. It's that we want to get involved with U.S. mining done right.
Well, let's be real. I mean, outside of maybe Kentucky, West Virginia, how many people who are running for office are going to say, I'm pro mine?
Yeah.
I want to, let's get in the earth, because man, that just opens up, leaves you vulnerable to a lot of different attacks.
Yeah. Just like not pro mining, just like you got to change the messaging. It's like, I'm pro American whole.
It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pro whole.
I know. I'll walk it back.
Yeah.
Anna, could they not have waited maybe another month after the IRA? I mean, just because it's so close to it that or maybe they were looking for that little deflection where they could easily say like, no, it wasn't because of that. It was obviously because of raw materials. But it just seems like if they waited a little bit more time, so many people wouldn't have tied the increase with the Inflation Reduction Act.
Potentially. I mean, obviously it makes it look a little bit more opportunistic, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at why they made this announcement now, it's because they're trying to open up the order window for their 2023 models of Mach-E, which are in very high demand, as Jeff mentioned. They had to cut off orders of the 2022 model in April because they were like, we can't make enough to get them out to you this year. So there's a lot of people that are waiting for a long time. Mm-hmm. And so I don't see them like delaying a month on releasing this pricing info just to, I don't know, see if people view it differently.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's good. That's a good point.
I agree with Jeff on a lot of what he said that, these vehicles are so appealing right now that it's certainly possible that with the EV tax credit and the price of gas right now, that Ford thinks it can absorb some of its added costs here by bumping the price up. It knows that they're going to sell these vehicles. They're in super high demand. We have seen automakers do that for the last 2 years. We've seen auto dealers do this like to an extreme level, bumping up those prices based on market conditions. So you can't really fault Ford for that, I don't think. Additionally, as you mentioned, the material shortages, that's been predicted for years. That has nothing to do with the last 30 days. Yeah. For years they're saying the supply chain is not ready for the amount of materials that we need to support the EV batteries that are inherent in these goals. We knew that already. So that's coming into play for sure. And then, lastly, I think let's remember that the average price of a new vehicle right now is over $48,000. If you look at the price of most of these base Mach-E's, those are considered like standard range batteries, which is like 250 miles, which is pretty good. Those are in the upper 40,000s. This is new technology that has required a ton of investment for these vehicles to be priced like in sort of that average pool that everything else is when this technology is not even nearly considered scaled yet. I think that's pretty good, honestly.
It's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah. So to lose our minds over this, I mean, the headline, you see the headline and you're like, what? People are going crazy about feeling like they're being held hostage by, EVs, which is dramatic. There's plenty of gas vehicles out there. Please buy one if you have to. But people saying like, now they're raising all the prices on EVs and the batteries are going to be so expensive and they're so expensive to repair and replace. Like, this is a scale issue that we just need to get through these next couple of years, and I think it will start to go down. But to see Ford be able to sell these at a reasonable rate and they're in very high demand, I don't know. I don't see like what everybody's losing their heads over, but...
Speaking of losing their heads, Bog Dog on our website,
Dog.
I think was going to be Big Dog, but maybe he just
maybe there was already a Big Dog.
Yeah, maybe
they're like Big Dog is already taken.
He's like big into cranberries and dogs. He came in with a classic $8,500 to go 13 miles further per charge. Sounds like a hell of a deal to me. Not.
Bringing back the not.
Bringing back the not, Bog Dog.
So let me ask you guys this, and maybe this is way overthinking this, but do you think some of these things Ford is putting out is almost to pat themselves on the back, basically reinforcing the demand around the Mustang, the demand around the Lightning, and basically saying, you know what, we've crushed it with these electric vehicles to the point where we don't have stuff and we're actually going to have to increase the prices on these supplies because there is such a demand for it and we're trying to keep up. I mean, is that going too far?
No, I mean it could be, or maybe they priced them too low because they didn't think that the adoption would be there. Maybe they thought they had to go lower to get people interested in an electric Mustang and an electric Lightning.
That's a good point.
And then when demand came in and they're like, oh, we really dropped the ball there. We need to
raise the price.
Yeah. Jeff, you had mentioned how everything is going up, but it is important to remember that everyone still has the power to decide with their wallet and time.
Right.
So, if you see these types of charges, everyone still has the power to not buy it, except those like crippled Mustang addicts who've got to have it. Another interesting thing from Consumer Reports is that still only 2% of Americans own an electric vehicle, but 36% say that they plan or at least seriously considering buying or leasing one. Another 35% might consider doing so, but still 28% of people are firmly committed to not going electric.
Well, the overly positive person that I am, in the perspective I take on all these stories, that 2%, that is a 100% increase from 18 months ago when it was only 1%.
Oh, that is surprisingly...
Are you really? So you're really the positive person?
Yeah.
That was surprisingly
It's a 100%
positive.
Increase in electric vehicle ownership in the United States.
Huge jump.
We're almost there.
Huge jump.
Yeah.
All right. Our most popular story this week, TransPod's FluxJet can eclipse 620 miles per hour. In July, Canadian startup TransPod unveiled a new ultra-high-speed ground transportation vehicle. The FluxJet promises to transport passengers and cargo at more than 620 miles per hour. So if Anna had a problem with 109, let's see how she feels about 620. The electric vehicle works like an aircraft train hybrid in a tube. The vehicle features leaps in contactless power transmission and a new field of physics called valence flux, which allows it to travel in a protected guideway, or tube, faster than a jet and 3 times as fast as a high-speed train. The FluxJet will operate on the TransPod line, a network with stations in key locations in major cities. The company has some substantial backing, with $550 million already confirmed in investment. However, the company also announced the next phase, which is going to cost $18 billion in infrastructure to build the TransPod line in Alberta to connect Calgary and Edmonton. Preliminary construction work, including the environmental impact assessment, has already begun. And according to a feasibility study, Anna, the project could create up to 140,000 jobs and add $19.2 billion to the region's GDP throughout construction. I know that's a lot of facts and figures there, but let's start with that sticking point of 620 miles per hour in a tube.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like,
I think you do.
I think I do. My favorite line from this story was, according to the company, riding from Calgary to Edmonton, which are about 186 miles apart, would take just 45 minutes and cost about $70, a little more than half the cost of a plane ticket. Canadians, where are you getting your plane tickets? When is the last time you saw a plane ticket for less than $150?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it's just different up there, man.
I guess. Anyway, I'll be interested to see this play out because, and I've suggested this before when we talk about all this hyperspeed stuff, but you look at the expense of this project, and I do question whether this project and the related infrastructure, which is $18 billion to build this new line just in infrastructure costs, if the coffers are available there to operate for as long as it will take for the public to become comfortable with a new field of physics. Because to me, like, that's a big ask, honestly. Like the idea of being whisked through vacuum tubes, like in floating pods, like that, that makes me claustrophobic to think about. I know I'm not alone. You're targeting kind of a very specific pool of people who want to travel this route quickly. Business people, probably, because you're really only gaining like 2 hours, and then have the money to spend on that, right? People who aren't scared to get in it. I just feel like that is always underestimated. Just the consumer acceptance of this. We saw Virgin Hyperloop transition to cargo from people. I think that's a good way to get this kind of stuff off the ground. You can sort of showcase it being safe. People can see countless uses of this tech in action before you can, ask them to get on it themselves and put their children in there. And like, I just don't, if it's me and it's new technology, and I just would not take the risk, I don't think, because I just don't know enough about it. And there's just like, we see people express the same kind of fear with self-driving cars, something that you could get out of. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, something that we're already seeing like in demo mode, like all over the place. It's going in a very slow fashion of like developing through different iterations over time. Automakers that we already know and trust, there's no infrastructure costs that need to be added to that. It's just roads. And people, even with that, as Jeff mentioned last week, people are terrified to even use it. Like the vast majority of people don't want to get into a driverless car. I can't imagine that there's a huge market for this. I just can't.
Well, first of all, these would be easier to get out of than other Hyperloops that have been underground and pitched, because at least this would be above ground. So you could rappel down in the event. The other is that it was easier, I think, when they were working with maglev, or a magnetic levitation technology. That was a little bit easier to understand because that's more used in high-speed rail, so people could trust it a little bit more. I completely agree with your point where when people are, asking how it works and they say, oh, valence flux, and they might be like, well, all right, then that sounds safe.
Yeah, it's a new type of physics we invented just for this. Don't worry about it.
But I could see the benefit of, obviously maybe not an early adopter for families, right? But if it's something, part of this is that it's easy to get on and off also, right? Like, so it's almost as easy as going to a train station, kind of just walking on, or a bus station. And to me, that's attractive because the thought of taking my family onto a plane and into an airport just cripples me with anxiety and just like already like anger. So I completely understand that idea of just like making it easy to get on and off. And you're right to call them on where they're getting those plane tickets, because we're seeing like a minimum trip of $200 to Calgary to Edmonton, and it seems more like it's a $300 to $400 flight. So it was a real miss on the cost savings on their behalf.
Well, that's even more cost savings though.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like they really could have pumped those numbers up a little bit.
For sure, yeah.
Jeff, how do you feel about floating through the air at a relaxing 620 miles per hour, reading a book for 45 minutes while you're commuting to the office, listening to a podcast?
Cross country?
Listening to a podcast. Hey, Alexa, play the Today in Manufacturing podcast.
You want to get to Calgary so bad.
Yeah.
That you would take this.
Yeah. This is the future of this, in my opinion. All of this type of technology is not passenger. It is cargo. And there I can see a lot of the different benefits. I mean, if you can, I want to see a lot of the potential benefits there. If you can take semis off the road, if you can use an electric vehicle to transport cargo. I mean, just think about when we have horrible things, hurricanes and earthquakes just in our country, being able to get supplies to those places maybe more quickly with this type of equipment would be amazing. Here's the thing. We've struggled so much with rail in this country. I mean, we just cannot get on board with it. It's something we struggle with mightily, especially from a passenger perspective. Right now, the fastest train in the world goes 265 miles per hour, 270 miles an hour. This is going to go 620. I just don't see people grabbing onto this.
Yeah.
The other thing that I struggle with is $18 billion in infrastructure costs.
That's a lot.
For one line.
Well, and when we look at all of the infrastructure issues that we have, how much we could put $18 billion towards in terms of bridges, stoplights, I mean, just other very common necessities, sidewalks, okay? I mean, just a lot of things to improve what we currently have. This seems like the timing for this seems really, really bad, especially when you just had Richard Branson say, nah, this ain't going to work. The last thing I want to say about this is this type of project, what's the old saying? I've used this a couple of times, life is hard because it gives you the test first and then teaches you the lesson. That's kind of what this is. You aren't really going to know how well this is going to function until you do it. And in order to do it, wow, that is a lot of time and a lot of money that could be going in a lot of different things right now.
Which is why we should welcome the people of Canada to do this as a test with their tax dollars. And
let us know what happens.
Jesse, who's watching us live again, thanks for watching us, Jesse. Always good to hear from you. She says, all I want is more public transportation. Just a high-speed train from the Twin Cities to Chicago would be great.
It would be great.
Wouldn't it be great? It's like we almost had it, and then it was gone. No, I mean, just talk about how public transportation in the United States is laughable in other countries. But also there has to be adoption for it. Jeff, you talk about high-speed rail struggling in America. I think part of my Hyperloop optimism is that it's a decent rebrand from high-speed rail, because I don't know if like people just hear rail and think legacy transportation, whereas Hyperloop is futuristic, even though it's essentially high-speed rail in a tube.
I think and I'll just talk to the U.S. culture specifically. When we think about rail, we think about predetermined stops. Yeah. You can only go from here to here. Now, regardless of how accurate that is kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's just
the mindset.
Thought. Yeah.
Whereas when I get in my car, if I want to stop at the gas station and grab a Mountain Dew, I can.
Yeah.
If I want to get off here and just stretch my legs, I can. Whereas when I'm on a train of any way, shape, or form, I can't do that. I am locked into where I can go. That's just the mindset, and that's why, as much as I would love to jump on a train and either go down to Chicago for all the stuff we have to do, or up to the Twin Cities for work. We could use those all the time. But the reality is, right now, in order to get there, because those do exist, we've got to drive someplace. Then we got to catch a connection and then eventually wind up there. So to have a direct route, it sounds good. But half of the people that are on that same route are like, no, I want to be in my car so I can make phone calls. Yeah. I want to have the freedom of having my vehicle in that location.
I want to do the do.
I mean, we're all getting ready to go to IMTS. The idea of getting into a Hyperloop and it taking 45 minutes, that sounds appealing to me, Anna.
Is it worth
I would not do it, though.
$18 billion?
I mean, I'll pay my
to
share.
get David to IMTS on time.
It's still not going to happen. It will not happen.
Something will happen.
Because he still has to go. Yeah. You'll get to the hotel.
Yeah.
But what about from the hotel to the show?
He'll be like, there. I forgot to iron my shirt.
I'll make sure. Well, I'm not going to iron my shirt.
I lost my pants. I'm at the
Sometimes you forget to pack pants.
That wasn't the problem.
I mean,
you packed them.
Well, I mean, sometimes you lose them after you pack them. No, it's I mean, that's the only part of IMTS that I'm not looking forward to.
Is the drive.
commute.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No,
finding
not
your
the pants. Not the
pants.
pants. I'm going to pack extras this time.
Good work.
Anna, you brought up about how Virgin Hyperloop, they were the ones that wanted the 670 mile per hour Hyperloop and how they just abandoned plans and then cut their staff in half and focused on cargo. I think that FluxJet, maybe if they come out and say they're for cargo, maybe it makes more sense, but it doesn't make, the same sort of splash. Because I could see that happening too. It does make a lot of sense from a cargo standpoint, and we've talked about that before. Do you guys think that it's possible that we're at a generational crossroads when it comes to travel? That, maybe our generation will be the last when it comes to this legacy of thinking we need a car, we need to be able to stop for multiple Mountain Dews. I mean, is it possible? Just because I know that, some of my younger cousins and younger people in my family, they're not even buying cars.
I think that's happening later. Just looking at my own family, 3 daughters, 2 of them, as soon as they could get their license, they got it. The other one waited. She was 19 before she got her driver's license. Yeah. Okay. It wasn't as much of a priority. Some of that is just for the fact of what you can actually do or connect with people without leaving your home. But I think when it comes to actually having to do that, I still think people are going to want a vehicle to get from point A to point B. I don't think they're more responsive to taking the bus or trying to find a train or whatever that may be. They'll call an Uber.
Yeah.
As opposed to owning a vehicle. So I think that dynamic has changed. But in terms of their preference of that mode of transportation, I don't think there's any change there.
Okay. I just think that the time might be right for a little bit of futuristic tech.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the infrastructure in most small and medium-sized cities, they just do not support it. Yeah. I mean, if you think about how long it would, we have a bus system in Madison. We're like a medium-sized city, but the amount of transfers that, like, for me to take a bus to work, it would be so. It would take me so much longer. Yeah. It doesn't, there's nothing direct. It just doesn't work for a lot of people. And if you have the funds to buy a vehicle, I think that's just a much easier choice for a lot of people.
No, I agree. But like maybe the next generation will finally be the ones that are fed up with that and push real change when it comes to public transportation.
Maybe. Dude, stop pushing public transportation. It's not going to happen.
I think it will.
It's not going to happen.
It's going to happen.
America's too big, David.
You can bet on it as much as you can bet on me having pants at IMTS. All right.
50-50.
Well, before we move on to In Case You Missed It, we have another word from our sponsor.
Manufacturers are facing extraordinary challenges today. With labor shortages, supply chain disruptions, and a changing workforce, complex industrial technology doesn't cut it on the front line. What's needed is a new way of working that will not only meet throughput goals, but change the shop floor culture to one of winning, where every worker feels they play a part in achieving the company's goals for success. What's needed is Red Zone, the connected workforce solution.
And we're back. And before we start, in case you missed it, stories that maybe weren't as popular on the website, but still stand to make a big impact on the industry going forward, just remember, Red Zone's connected workforce software solution enables manufacturers to empower frontline teams in production, maintenance, and quality to contribute their full potential and achieve company goals around productivity and throughput. Red Zone software enables manufacturers, big, small, to boost their plant's productivity, increase employee engagement, and lower turnover. And we're back with In Case You Missed It, stories that weren't as popular on the website, but still stand to make a big impact on the industry going forward. I'm going to start this week, and I kind of made a weird pick.
Yes, can't wait.
So it was the story that we ran on IN.com. Who is Mary Kay? And I saw that and really thought, I want to know. I wonder.
David's like, this story is for me.
Yeah. So Mary Kay Ash started her cosmetics company, Beauty by Mary Kay, in 1963 as a small Dallas storefront, at a time when a third of American women were in the workforce. Ash used to sell children's encyclopedias door to door. She consistently earned less than male counterparts and was passed over for promotions. When she protested, she was told to stop, quote, thinking like a woman. She quit and built a company with no wage gap. In 6 years, her Her company earned $6.3 million in sales with 4,000 saleswomen or beauty consultants from 15 different states. It was the first woman-founded and led company on the New York Stock Exchange. By 1979, was that 16 years later, they had more than $100 million annually. And in 2021, after they took the company private again in the 80s, they reached $3.5 billion in annual revenue. Now, I found this story very interesting for a lot of reasons. One was that one of the traits of Ash was that she actually pushed back on feminism and leaned into femininity and motherhood at a time when feminism was first being introduced to the culture. Ash's company motto was God first, family second, career third. Some of the other things that I found of interest was that she gave pink Cadillacs to top sellers, which a lot of people have known about in the culture, but she, at the time, changed these women's lives. These were women that were stay-at-home moms and otherwise thought that they wouldn't be relevant in the workforce and kind of found a new life and a lot of success in a career. Now, it has been called, Mary Kay has been called the pink pyramid scheme because salespeople have to buy the product first and then sell it. But the company's beauty consultants say they found camaraderie, recognition, and confidence working for Mary Kay and a female role model in Mary Kay Ash. This is a much longer story that talks a lot about her role in the culture. And I found it very interesting. There's also a 60 Minutes interview that's in there. And I just thought it was interesting to see this woman who kind of went against the grain in every part of where the culture and business was going, found a tremendous success, and did a lot of good for a lot of people, and just didn't stand by a wage gap in the 60s. And we're still talking about it today. And I mean, there were a lot of parts of the story that I was reading that I was still frustrated with because it's like, oh, well, other than Mary Kay, that's still kind of a problem everywhere else. But, Mary Kay's got it figured out. Did either of you guys get a chance to either check this story out or watch the interview? Because, I don't know, I found it a little bit inspiring.
I did. It was interesting. I didn't know anything about her, to be honest, so learned a lot that way. Now, does Mary Kay, does that compete with Avon?
I believe so, yeah.
Because that I don't remember Mary Kay, but growing up, I remember my mom and my grandma going to Avon parties.
Avon ladies,
yeah.
So that was interesting. Also interesting where one point she sold the company.
Yeah.
And then her and her son fought to get it back.
Yeah.
And bought it back.
Bought it back for like $400 million.
Yeah. And it's a $1 billion company. It was a really interesting story. Obviously a very successful, very intelligent entrepreneur. So a lot of good takeaway there. Interesting in terms of her perspective on feminism.
Yeah.
And how she sort of scoped her thoughts in the way that she had it directed, I guess. I think she was more of a feminist than she realized.
Yeah.
But the way that she presented herself and sort of the tone that she took was definitely something that obviously a lot of women gravitated to. And yeah, it was an interesting story.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, you're right. Just in terms of she didn't see herself as a feminist, but she empowered so many women. And then it was just incredible to read some of the stories of some of the beauty consultants that saw her as a female role model and had mentioned that, outside of like their high school graduation, this was like the first time they had received any recognition. Yeah. Anna, your thoughts on Mary Kay's story?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know much about her. I always thought that maybe it was a pyramid scheme. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like it still kind of operates with some of those same tenets, the selling to consumers, but having to buy the product up front, and then also making a commission on the people that you recruit.
Right.
Which means that the people at the top are the ones that get the pink Cadillacs, and there's very few of them. And then there's many, many people at the bottom who pay to become salespeople and then end up with a bunch of extra crap in their house.
In the event, or they cultivate their own team of beauty consultants and then they're at the mid tier.
Right. But I think if I don't know for sure about Mary Kay, I know if the other data on multi-level marketing companies applies here, then the vast majority of people don't actually turn out well within the system. But I don't know. Maybe she did good things for women in the industry. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. It's hard to know, especially if you see like this with other companies like this, LuLaRoe, and all the things that you can buy on Facebook, and people are trying to get you to go to their party or whatever.
But with all the other, multi-tier, essentially pyramid schemes, right? Don't you think that over the last 60 years, 65 years now, they maybe would have put this one to bed if it was truly predatory?
I mean, there's plenty of companies that are still operating that have been accused multiple times of being pyramid schemes.
Where's Leah Sophia? I haven't seen that in years.
Amway, right? That's still around.
I don't know.
What's the shake mix thing that has been sued a bunch of times, and I can't remember what it's called.
Something?
Yeah.
Herbalife. Not Nutra anything. Herbalife, yeah. Man, yeah. No, a lot of people had that in their closets. There were going to be a lot of millionaires selling Herbalife.
And some of these are even public companies, so it's I guess you can exist for a long time maybe before it gets, but I don't know.
I think what comes into play there, and I don't know enough about Mary Kay and how they're set up, but I think it depends on what you're obligated to do within a given period of time. Or if when you come on board, you have to buy so much, or you have to bring so many people in. I think that's where it's easy to bust a lot of those pyramid schemes. I don't think that's the crux of what Mary Kay and a lot of these other places like Amway does. But I think it's maybe what sets.
If anyone knows about Mary Kay and whether or not it's legit, tell us. We'll take your comments.
Send a beauty consultant to my house. All right. To get, a consultation.
Yeah.
This complexion isn't getting any better. Age is harsh. Time. All right. Well, mixed views on Mary Kay's impact on society.
I'm skeptical is all I'll say, I guess, at this point.
Remember, next Mary Kay story, don't throw it to Anna. I'm doing Avon next week. Jeff, what was your in case you missed it this week?
So just kind of continuing with a lot of things going on with the railways. We were talking about a potential replacement or higher speed option that's being developed there with the last story. But in here we're looking at with the present situation. The story that caught my eye was 3 out of 12 railway unions announced a tentative deal. Part of this was, so we've got about 115,000 workers that are affected right now that are basically, they're not on strike, but they're not happy. Okay. So we've got 12 different unions representing these folks. 3 of them came to terms. Primarily, these are the, let me look at it here. They are the International Association of Machinists, Transportation Communications Union, and the Brotherhood of Railway Carmen Unions. So basically, these are the folks that are fixing and repairing the cars and everything else. The biggest ones that they have not settled with yet are the conductors and the engineers.
Oh, okay. I need those.
So definitely need them. And I think this is going to become a bigger story potentially for a couple reasons. First of all, they got a huge pay raise, 24% pay increase. Now, they were asking for 31. The company was coming in at 17. Where's 24? Right in the middle. Okay. So I think that's promising in terms of working with these other folks. They also have concessions on healthcare, a little bit more time off. They got a bonus, things like that. So there's a lot of positive movement that could potentially come into play with these other unions. The other thing that's going to be interesting is we are coming up in a time of year where there is a lot flowing through these railways. Okay. We're coming up on harvest time for farmers. So there's a lot of grain that's going to need to be hauled. Just also with the holidays coming in. So what is going on at these trains with these railways is going to become really important. They've got about a month and a half to figure this out with the rest of the unions. So hopefully they can. Hopefully this is a building block that we can get this resolved, because we've learned how pivotal and how important a role these railways play in our supply chain. Something we didn't really think about a year, 2 years ago, but now it's become very, very obvious. So some good news, some movement here at least that I think will hopefully help some of the supply chain issues down the road.
I had no idea how many people were part of railroad unions. It's 115,000.
115,000. Yeah, and we just 15 of them are taken care of. So we got 100,000 workers yet to go, and again, crucial to our infrastructure.
So is this right? Did you mention the salary? The salary is up to $110,000 a year.
I didn't mention that. No.
That's so it sounds like a great deal. And Anna, we've talked a lot about, this being an environment where the worker has a lot of leverage. We're seeing the same in railroads. Yeah.
Now's the time to push for these kind of deals, especially if you're in a union. I don't think that these workers need to try to take advantage of their employers, but in many cases, I think a lot of employers have been getting a pretty good deal for a long time. And it sounds like some of these hikes are necessary and they're a long time coming.
Yeah, they kind of equate their situation. The same thing we covered with a lot of the food manufacturers and what they were dealing with. These folks put their time in during the pandemic, didn't really make a fuss about working extra hours, haven't gone a while. Plus the railroads have scaled back so much on their workforce over the years. So yeah, they're looking to basically, it feels, get what they deserve right now.
Excellent. Anna, what is your, in case you missed it this week?
All right. And if you want to just totally trash this story afterwards, I owe you that. So you can. I won't be mad.
I do owe you that, but
But you're more mature than that? Okay.
David's really good at moving past things.
I was going to say,
this.
all the normal things you say in this situation, I'm the opposite of. Like, not the bigger person.
Water under the bridge. So Bridgestone Americas is taking a pivotal step in its drive to commercialize the woody desert shrub guayuli as a domestic source of natural rubber and a more environmentally sustainable crop.
Maybe one day they'll make Crocs with it.
In America's drought-stricken desert Southwest. So this is a crop that requires no irrigation. It's way less susceptible to the impacts of climate change. If you know anything about natural rubber, it's grown mostly in very specific areas, which is in Southeast Asia. It's really sensitive to disruption. It's very difficult to harvest. The rubber industry will actually stall for years if there's a bad crop year for rubber trees. And so what impressed me about this story was just how much time and development Bridgestone has put into this. So guayuli being used to replace rubber is not new. It's been sort of come in and out of fashion over the years based on supply issues and what's been needed. But it never really took off. However, Bridgestone has kind of made some changes here. They've basically bought a bunch of land, like 25,000 acres. They took their scientists to the task of like creating a hybrid version of this crop that has been bred to have the most possible rubber in its stem. And the rubber is to protect the plant at night because it's really cold in the desert, which is sort of interesting, right? Yeah. They've also designed a new machine to help harvest this crop. So they've been doing this for about 10 years, kind of quietly behind the scenes. And now they're ready to go big with it. They are ready to scale it. They're saying, this is not a test. This is not an experiment. We are ready to go. They're even talking about incentivizing farmers to grow it. To just try to fulfill, because right now they have such a need for rubber, and 90% of a tire right now is like synthetic materials, but that 10% natural rubber, they need that in order to keep those durable enough. So to me, I thought it was just interesting to see how their long game on this has really played out. It's kind of fun to be at the end point in that and seeing it kind of be ready for prime time. This is not the thing that leads to the thing. This is the thing. Yeah. So I thought it was just kind of a cool story.
No, I thought it was incredible too, because it's $100 million they've spent to commercialize it. Like you said, in 10 years, it's been under development for 10 years. Their research center alone is a 300-acre farm. So they've really invested in it. And you're right, it's inspiring to see it actually come to fruition. Jeff, the other thing I found interesting was that they're testing it on like Firestone Firehawk race tires. Yeah. Which I thought was pretty cool. We always talk about, we talked about it with the boat, how racing is used as sort of a test kitchen. And you really don't think about components like tires as much as the engine.
What's that saying from Days of Thunder? Rubber's racing, or
rubbin's racing.
Well, with the tires, something with the tire. I don't know. Tires are important.
Rubbin is racing is where you're just sharing a little paint.
There you go. Just sharing a little anyway, paint. Yeah, obviously. Not where I was going with that.
Days of Thunder quote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tires are a huge part of racing. So any of this type of stuff when it comes to testing safety or at the ability for a material to hand up, testing's a great, like you said, test kitchen for it to validate all this stuff. I think what's really interesting too is that they were and were invested in the long game. They knew this was going to take this long to figure out. And it makes you think a little bit about some of the parallels to other supply chains that we're now trying to develop that we've been talking about for the last month.
Right.
And this coming to fruition is incredible. It also reminds me a little bit of a book I read about Theodore Roosevelt, about this trip he took down the Amazon, because there's a lot of rubber that was growing down there as well in South America, and just how horrible of a production process it was in terms of harvesting it, actually boiling it, and actually getting it to market. And this is, 100 years ago now. So although it's good that it's advanced, it's interesting the way that it's advanced as well.
Yeah,
so.
I guess we should look in a little bit more of the production process.
It sounds like it's a much more sustainable crop. They are investing 40-something million in a new biorefinery that's going to process just guayuli. And they said that the output of that will be just 10% of the rubber needs of the U.S. market for them. Wow. So that's why they're really looking at, like, can we scale this in a way that's going to add more of that to the supply?
Well, and so Bridgestone came out and said they want tires that are 100% renewable by 2050. And we hear claims like that all the time. Like, we're going fully electric by 2030. And a lot of times it's just like, okay, you got to say something and make a prediction. But that one sounds reasonable. And it sounds like not only is it reasonable, they're putting a lot of money up for the R&D to make it happen. All right. Well, before we get out of here this week, let's move on to our final thoughts. I wanted to start with a final thought from Mark Waterman. Mark has listened to the podcast for a long time, and he had some really interesting feedback regarding the Tesla story with the father-son Tesla test. Mark says, using child labor is inexcusable, high risk, and morally void. I'm going to use that one. I like that. Even with this as one of the lowest rungs on the morality ladder, as a father, I cannot fathom putting your own child at risk on purpose. This isn't a question of the quality of product or the driving system. It is a complete lack of parental judgment and responsibility. I wouldn't let my child stand in front of my own car when I was driving, let alone some autonomous safety system with complexities that only a few people fully understand and have no accountability to. There is never a perfect safety or quality system, and we should never rely on them completely with something as precious as a child. Let's use this dad instead. Smiley face emoji.
Totally agree, Mark.
Yeah, Mark. We all echo the same sentiment, and thank you very much for supporting the podcast and sharing your thoughts. Anna, what is your final thought this week?
All right. Last week, I left you with a teaser, which was that all my kids were starting school this week, and would I have survived the first day? And the answer is yes, it would great. Oh, so relieved. My second grader had a really hard start last year, and we were worried that she would have a stressful first day, but she just pushed me out of the way and just ran inside, which was exactly what I wanted. So it was good. Yeah.
Mine didn't go the same. No. Des started 4K, and man, everything was going great until the let's go inside.
It can go so great up to that point. And then
great. We're just hanging out. He's hanging on to his little bag lunch, which I understand he didn't really care for. And and then he's by my leg, and then it's like, let's go inside. And then all of a sudden it's that tight cinch, just like real. And then he had to be like peeled off of me. And then he did the very melodramatic screaming as the teacher's holding him, and his like arms are out, and he's just looking at you like screaming and crying like, Daddy, why are you doing this? Other than that, my heart's nearly healed.
But how did it end?
It ended great. It ended great, which was a big sigh of relief. I really should have gone to that pickup with his mother just to kind of get that little bit of rejuvenation.
Mm-hmm.
It went well. He made a lot of friends. He had a lot of fun with magnet tiles. It was good.
Yeah.
But man, that image
stay
is
with you.
burned in. Just like his face is like hot red with like anger and sadness and fear. And I'm just sitting there like, I can't help you. Yeah, I'm going to go back to the car and work. Cry in the bathroom. But my final thought, especially for the people that are live, is that it's a holiday weekend. We get that extra day. Everyone be safe and have a good time. Be respectful to one another.
Stay out of that super fast speedboat, please.
Well,
this weekend.
I mean, we're about to put them away, so I mean, you got to get the gas out of there.
It's an electric.
I'm just using up the rest of my gas so I can invest.
There you go.
In an electric one. I don't know if we're gonna go by our history of purchasing boats. We're gonna need to wait 50 years, and then we'll buy the first electric boat.
There you go.
Just because
That's fine.
think we have the first pontoon boat made. It's
collectors.
it's sturdy in places.
Oh, jeez. Not
since
the description you want for a boat.
Nah, ever since we got that hornet's nest out of there, it was fine. No, it's a sturdy boat. It's good. We take care of it. Jeff, what is your final thought this week?
Well, we also had first day of school, but with teenagers, it's more just annoyance about having to get up at like 6:30.
Sure, yeah.
Not fun there. So no real dramatic stories. What I would appreciate some input on is, like I alluded to, we demolished our kitchen, we're remodeling, and we're cooking a lot on the grill, which I'm thankful the weather's still good. We can still do that. But if there's any ideas for something different to throw on there other than burgers and chicken and brats and things like that, I was just going to say we have heard about frozen pizzas you can throw on the grill. Yeah. But if there are other ideas, I am open to it.
You could just got to up your kebab game. You can have a lot of fun with
I have never gotten kebabs. Like, you have to take it off the skewer anyway. What's the point?
Oh, right. Well, that one's not a winner. We can keep thinking.
I mean, I never got that. Like,
He's not gonna.
They're
up
delicious.
his
It's
kebab
because
game.
the chicken is cooked with the tomato and the zucchini pressed up against it and just getting soaked with its natural flavors. It's very good. You're just not doing it right. I will actually. I do have a weird kebab story real quick. We went to.
Of course you do.
I don't know if I actually shared it. I might have. But we went to a work event for my wife. They had a release party for one of the magazines that she was doing. They had kebabs. And man, this kebab looked delicious with chicken and tomatoes, onions, mushrooms, and what looked like squash or zucchini at the end. And so I take this big, and like we're sitting in a circle with probably the most important people involved with this project. And I take the piece of squash and I throw it in my mouth and I start chewing. And that is a lemon. It's definitely a lemon. And I am just muscling through it as everyone is just kind of staring at me. And I'm like, fine and normal.
I wanted to do this.
It was like half a lemon too. And luckily.
How could you mistake that for anything
else?
Honestly,
because it looked exactly like, I didn't see it. It's actually fun. I'm going to throw my wife under the boat too. Under the boat. Under the bus. Under the boat.
Wow.
Well, it's not like under the bus is any better than throwing her under the boat. Either way, it's a demise. She did the same thing. Just not like in mixed company. She's like, oh yeah, ate the lemon, ate the whole thing. And just like, because what are you going to do? You're in your like business casual and just like, it's staying in. It's staying in. And I wish I took a picture to see how convinced, because I agree. Like a lemon doesn't look like a squash. But in this very specific
You can't
example,
subtly like napkin that out.
No,
Yeah.
because we were even closer. Like we were in a big room with like, and we were in the middle of it, just like in a huddle, and so it was just like, and it was tolerable. Like luckily it had been on the grill enough to like.
Well, you love fruit, especially when it's been cooked.
I mean, I love not cooked fruit, but I love fruit. Just a grilled lemon. Try it. It's not bad.
No.
After that,
No.
ringing endorsement.
Great story, David.
We're gonna do trivia this week.
Thanks for that. Again, we had awesome feedback on the poll this week, actually.
Great.
In looking at what we covered last week. And I just want to go through a couple of submissions here, actually a couple of really cool comments. First one is from Jerry Mills. He said, the story of the Tesla dad brought to mind the words of my 5-year-old saying as I was plunking out Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata on the piano when he's trying to get my attention. Stupid dad, stupid dad. P.S. Thanks for the podcast. I think that pretty much says it all.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Jerry. We will be shooting you out some stuff. Also had a couple of good comments here as well on some other stories. Jose Flores wrote in, He said the most significant safety concern is the continued contamination of drugs at Morton Grove. The most disturbing element of this report is the okay to use ship possible contaminated drugs because they're medically necessary. Either they're contaminated or they're not.
Agreed.
Totally agree with you there, Jose. One more comment I just wanted to get out here. I think this one is, again, looking at the father testing the Tesla FSD system. This was, I think, was a really good, interesting comment from Nick Barman. He said, I worry that the Tide Pod challenge and so many other stupid viral videos, that this one could catch on and be the next thing. Or like you say, this could be the thing that leads to the thing. Soon we'll have teenagers jumping out in front of Teslas doing the Tesla challenge. That's a great point. Something I never would have even thought of, but you could definitely see that happening as well.
Oh, I don't know what I'm more disappointed in, like how realistic that seems.
Yeah.
Or just the fact that it happened in general. Anyway.
So looking at the poll results, though, the most popular response was Morton Grove Pharma's continued drug contamination issues. That was the most popular response. So everybody who wrote in and guessed that, you'd be getting a new t-shirt and hat. So thanks for that.
Oh, we've upped it? You're getting a t-shirt and a hat.
That was pre-existing.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Nice.
This week we're going to be talking about
Jeff's Oprah now.
Yeah. I do, like,
everybody gets a t-shirt.
One thing I'd like to share in the podcast, if people do get t-shirts and hats and want to send us photos of them like out in the wild, that'd be kind of cool.
Sure.
Jeff is a
Anywhere.
maybe.
Why does it have to be out in the wild? Well, it just be like, chilling in the backyard.
Yeah, that's the wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
For this week, the poll question: which of the following do you feel will have the biggest long-term impact? These are the stories we covered. First, we got the new first solar panel factory, the new factory they're building, as well as the expansion of the Ohio facility. The labor board ruling against Tesla and thinking more long-term about Tesla and dealing with union activities. Vision Marine's electric boat shattering the speed record. That is definitely what Anna is looking most forward to. The Ford EV battery price increase and how that kind of affects the whole electric vehicle battery supply chain. And then finally, TransPod's FluxJet project. Again, one we're all real excited about. Actually, only David. So which one of those will have the biggest long-term impact? First Solar, labor board ruling against Tesla, Vision Marine, Ford EV battery prices, or the TransPod FluxJet project?
Feel like this one's almost a no-brainer, but I'm hoping some people surprise us.
I don't know. I think this is there's a lot of stuff you could go through here.
I also like the feedback that we received. It's not just people guessing one or the other. We're getting a little bit of feedback on the stories too. I think that's really cool.
Well, it was a lot of the comments would start out saying, like, because one of the stories that we had in here in terms of what was the most significant safety concern was the SL Alabama child labor law violations, and people usually started out saying, "This is horrible." But if I had to pick one,
Sure.
They usually went either Tesla or the pharmaceuticals.
Oh, gotcha. This is bad, but that one's more bad.
Right.
We need like a ranking system.
I think that one was almost the more like jarring of the stories. Like that one really stood out. Like that affected people on a very personal level.
Yeah.
Understandably.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I like how the trivia has evolved, Jeff. This is a really good idea. I like
Cool.
it.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, before we get out of here, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You could also help us out a lot by leaving the podcast a positive review on whatever platform you use. Finally, if you want to email the podcast, you can reach any of us at Jeff, David, or Anna at IEN.com with email the podcast in the subject line. You can also subscribe to our daily and weekly newsletters, and we'll make sure that it gets delivered to your inbox first. All right, for Jeff Ranke and Anna Wells, I'm David Manti. This is the Today in Manufacturing podcast. We'll see you next week.